Good morning, McVeigh students. Coming to you from a baseball field today. We're going to go over some rules of baseball, and most of these rules also apply to kickball. So we'll be going over these rules and ideas today. We're starting here at home plate, and this is where we always start, up to bat or up to kick. Let's take a look at some of our surroundings. Over here we have a couple benches on this side of the field. That's where the dugout would be. This field does not have a roof over that area. You can see on our other side here, same thing. Okay, one of the teams will sit in there when their team is up to bat. And the player that's up to bat obviously is on the field, but everybody else on their team is in the dugout. The other team would have all of their players out in the field, and whichever players are not out in the field, they would not be in the game, so the remaining players on the team would be sitting in this dugout over here. Now over here we have a backstop, and excuse my finger there, I have a little helper with me here, and I'm holding them in one arm and holding my camera in the other arm, getting my arm workout in at the same time. We have a backstop here. Every field has a backstop, and the point of the backstop is to simply stop the ball if it gets overthrown or if it gets past the catcher. The catcher is the positional player who catches the ball from the pitcher and stands actually crouches down in a squat position directly behind home plate here. This seating area back here has nothing to do with players, it's for the fans. Let's walk out here to the pitcher's mound. This is where the pitcher stands. And boys and girls, for a baseball field like this, typically the pitcher's mound, you can see it's just a rectangle. A lot of times there will be an indented area here, or this pitcher's mound will be elevated by 6, 8, 10 inches to allow the pitcher to kind of plant their foot, and the pitcher will not stand directly on the mound. A good pitcher will put their foot right about in this position so they can push off of the mound and get a little more momentum to get a harder throw, a faster throw down here toward home plate. So on this particular field, this pitcher's mound is probably 46 feet away. On a major league ballpark field like Citizens Bank Park where the Phillies play, that pitcher's mound is going to be 60 feet 6 inches away from home plate. Why is it 60 feet 6 inches and not just 60 feet? Well, every inch makes it a little bit easier or a little bit harder, and I think that at one point they just settled on 60.5 feet being the good distance. Now, a Major League Baseball field has 90 feet between the bases. A Little League field like this is usually 60 or 65 feet between the bases. Now, there are no bases out here today because all of the parks are closed down. And again, excuse my camera work, I'm switching hands here. So we don't have any bases like would typically be out here because there are no leagues taking place during the quarantine. Now, out here to our right is what we call right field. Out here straight ahead of us is what we call center field, or straightaway center. If somebody hits a home run out that way, they'll say they hit it to straightaway center field. And then out here is left field. Now, this particular park does not have a fence. You can see way out ahead of us in center field, there's actually another field, which is very common for ballparks that are run by a town, such as where we are in Newark here, and they do not have a fence. So most of your Little League baseball fields, the fences are 205 feet or 200 feet from home plate. When you step up to the next level and get out of Little League, once you turn 13 or 14, the fences get a little bit farther, all the way up to 300 feet usually, but the official Little League distance is 205 feet. If you've seen the Little League World Series, which is played in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, I've been there several times. That distance is 205 feet. So, boys and girls, same rules for kickball as baseball. You start out here at home plate, and you can see home plate has a unique shape here. It has 5 different sides to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not sure if this qualifies as a pentagon because it doesn't look like one, but it is a 5-sided shape. I guess we could say it's a pentagon. And when we kick the ball or when we hit the ball, we're running to our right always. We never run to our left down here toward third base. Now there is a game called mat ball that is played often in middle school and high school gym classes, and some of you may have played that. In that particular game, you can run either direction, but typically for baseball, softball, kickball, we always run this direction. So let's go out this direction toward right field. Typically there would be a white line here that we'd kind of be running right along. That's called the foul line, and the ball has to stay between the first base foul line, and there'd be another foul line over there that would go right over third base and would go all the way out in the left field, and there'd be a yellow foul pole out there, and the ball has to stay in between those two lines, or it's a foul ball, F-O-U-L, a foul ball. Basically it means it's out of bounds. Now right here in this area would typically be first base, and let's spin around here. We can see where we are in home plate there. Okay, we can see where we are in relationship to the rest of the field. Typically, I would stop right in here in this area, be first base. Okay, my next base would be out this way, kind of directly behind the pitcher's mound, and that would be second base. Now, in Major League Baseball, you do not have to stand on your base. Okay, you can cheat out a little bit, and you'll see that most Major League Baseball runners, well, all runners will cheat off the base 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet. And the pitcher who stands on our mound over here can either decide to pitch the ball or could decide to throw the ball over here to first base. And if the pitcher does throw the ball over to first base, the runner needs to get back to first base before the pitcher throws the ball over here, and the first baseman catches it and tags the runner. The runner must be tagged in that situation. That is a tag situation play, and we will attempt to go over some of that because I know that's confusing to a lot of you when we play kickball. So if I'm on first base and this is Little League play, I am not allowed to move off of first base excuse me, until the ball crosses home plate. Once the ball crosses home plate, I can move off my base, and I should begin moving off my base. I should anticipate either the ball being hit or perhaps the catcher missing it or it being a wild pitch, which those two things happen frequently in Little League. And if that's the case, I can steal second base. I can leave. Now, Major League Baseball, you can steal a base at any given time. You're always free to run. Not the rules in Little League. If you play softball, same thing, you're not allowed to leave. Now, fast pitch softball, for you ladies watching, is a completely different game than slow pitch softball. Fast pitch softball, depending what age you are, I believe that you can steal. Now, if the ball is hit, or if I'm stealing a base, which you're not allowed to do, in most kickball games, we're going to run towards second base here. And once we get out here in this section, right about in here is second base. Now, if I'm running from first base to second base because a ball was hit, if the opposing team catches the ball and throws the ball to a player who's standing on second base, which would be right about in this area, right behind the pitcher's mound, then I would be out. If they catch the ball and put 1 foot on the bag, on the base, before I get to the base, I'm out. Now, if I'm running to a base and there's nobody behind me, so let's say that I hit the ball way out into the outfield here, and I was going to get what's called a double, which means I was going to get 2 bases on a hit. I was going to run all the way to second base because I hit the ball far enough. And let's say I was coming in here to second base, they would have to tag me because that's not a force play. That's not a force play. But in baseball, you cannot have 2 people on the same base. So if there is somebody behind you, you have to run to the next base. That's called a force play. Now, if I were on first base and somebody hit the ball all the way out here in the right field, and I thought that I could make it to third base, okay, and I'm running all the way to third base, that is not a force out because I actually could have stopped at second. And if I were running over here toward third base, the base runner would or the third baseman, when they catch the ball, they'd actually have to tag me. It's not a force out because I could have actually stopped at second base. So the third baseman would look out this way toward right field. The right fielder would probably throw the ball to what's called a cutoff man, probably to the second baseman, who would catch the ball and then relay it to the third baseman. In that case, I do not have to run, and that third baseman would have to catch the ball and tag me before I got one of my feet on the base, and I would probably slide. And the reason that baseball players slide is, number one, so they can run hard all the way into the base and not have to slow down. And number two, it makes it a lot harder to tag somebody when they're all the way down on the ground. So that extra split second where I have to catch the ball and bend over might be the difference between me being safe and out. Remember, a team gets 3 outs during an inning. Remember, baseball doesn't use quarters or periods, they use innings. And your team, once they have 3 outs, the other team is up the bat. So I'm here on third base, and the final base that I would run to if the ball was hit would be home plate. And we come all the way down here and touch home plate. And again, a play at home plate is almost always a tag play unless the bases are loaded. If the bases are loaded, that means there's somebody on every base. In that case, the person on third base would have to run home because there would be somebody on second base running to third base. And if that's the case, it would be a force out, and all that the catcher would have to do, again, the catcher is the positional player that stands behind home plate and catches the pitches. All that the catcher would have to do is stand on home plate and catch the ball, and that person would be out. And there would not be a run scored. So if I make it all the way around the bases like we just did, my team gets what's called a run, not a point. Okay, points are for football, points are for basketball, but for baseball, it's called a run, or in hockey, if you score, it's called a goal, or soccer, it's called a goal. So we would score a run. If somebody scores a run because I got a hit or I put the ball in play, I get an RBI. That means a run batted in. That's what RBI stands for. I get an RBI and my team gets a run. So generally in baseball, there's 9 batters. And if you're a Little League player, a lot of the times you get to bat at least 3 times a game. Most Major League Baseball players bat 3 to 4 times a game if there's a lot of runs scored, sometimes 5 times a game. So, boys and girls, the same rules apply for kickball, and hopefully, I really hope that soon your Little League games can get out there and you guys can be playing your baseball and your softball, and you guys can be out here on the diamond having fun. I know that I miss watching baseball. I haven't seen any of the overseas games, but hopefully we get back playing soon. I know that Major League Baseball is trying to play as soon as they can, and it just seems weird here to be in the middle of May and there not be any baseball games going on and not see any kids on these diamonds in the evening. So hopefully we get back to play here, and you guys get back on your field soon. Remember, if you're right-handed, you would stand on this side of home plate and you'd have your left shoulder towards center field. And if you bat left-handed, you would stand on this side of home plate and you'd have your right shoulder out towards center field. All right, boys and girls, we're going to wrap up today's class. I'd like everybody to still do your exercises. I know I didn't lead you in them today because we went through a lengthy explanation here, but I'd like you to do your jumping jacks, your push-ups, your sit-ups, your running in place, and then do them again like we normally do. Keep exercising, everybody. Keep moving around. Very important to stay healthy. Get your walk in if you can. Some of these videos recently, I've done some walks or even a bike ride. I might do another bike ride sometime soon and just kind of allow people to see different types of exercises that you can do. So we're going to sign off here. Do your exercises. Do them right now. Get them done. Start your day off right. And keep eating healthy out there. And hopefully soon we'll all be able to get out here and use some of these parks and play baseball and softball and do some tennis and all these types of things. All right, boys and girls, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.